Hello, everyone. This is Bob Wass from Suite Solutions. I want to thank you all for taking the time to join us today. And I will turn it over to the Suite Solutions CEO, Joe Gelb.
Thanks, Bob. Okay, thanks everybody for joining us. This webinar is a response to popular demands that we've been seeing on a number of forums. Folks wanting to understand more about this new set of platforms for delivering content on mobile devices. Many of our customers have already commissioned us to provide them with solutions for automated publishing of mobile content, including companies like Cisco, VMware, Emersons Process Management, and others. And many others are in the process of moving forward. So I'd like to extend thanks to Cisco and Emerson for allowing us to use some of their content for the demonstrations today. So I'd like to turn it back over to Bob.
All right, thank you, Joe. So let me just take a minute to help you understand who we are. And our mission really is pretty simple, is to help our customers increase their profitability by significantly changing and improving the way that they go about their whole information development and delivery process. So whether that means the application of specific pieces of technology, whether it means changes to process and process improvements, or if it means just education in order to make your knowledge workers better at their job, we have the ability to deliver on those various aspects to improve your process. And one of the key things that we are focused on, having seen many projects that have fits and starts, is helping companies do it right the first time. So there's no going back to the drawing board and starting over and having to get rebudget allocation. So we pride ourselves on really taking an approach that enables you to get off the ground and achieve successes as you move forward through new documentation processes. So with that, I will turn it over to Michael, and we can get into the meat of what you have come to see today.
Thanks, Bob. Hi, everyone. What we're going to be covering, we're going to start off by covering an overview of just the different mobile delivery formats. We're going to get into some, and then we're going to end up getting into some more details about those individual formats and how we're able to tie that in with the Ditto OT in general, producing it from Ditto, and just in general how you're able to get these output formats. There are really two main output formats that we're going to be focusing on. The first one is EPUB/Kindle. Now we have EPUB/Kindle because there are actually two different competing formats targeting the same kind of platform. What we're looking at here are e-readers. E-readers are becoming a very popular approach. The Amazon Kindle and the Barnes & Noble Nook are two popular dedicated e-readers. But beyond that, many devices, including the iPad, Android tablets, many of these devices provide e-reader capabilities as well. So as those devices become more prevalent, so do e-readers. The idea of an e-reader format is similar to a PDF. It's a file that your users are able to download, they're able to view offline, and there's no internet connection required. It's it's different from the PDF in the sense that it allows reflowable content, which is very important for e-readers because they can have vastly different screen widths, as will be seen later on. The other format is web format. This is equivalent to what you would normally put into your HTML output, and frankly, it is your HTML output. This is just standard HTML that's going up on the web, and the user is able to go in and view it with their browser. Now, the same limitations and advantages apply from the desktop realm. Users are going to require an internet connection in order to view it, and you as the content provider have more flexibility in updating the content and automatically pushing that to your users. One of the nice things here is you can actually end up reusing a fair amount of your existing HTML formatting. So if you've already created a great HTML web help system and you're using this on the desktop, odds are you'll be able to leverage a lot of that functionality in the mobile realm as well. So you'll see that between those two output formats, the one that we didn't cover is apps, which we actually get a lot of questions about. Apps are not something that we actually recommend deploying. And the reason is an app in the mobile realm really has the same drawbacks as creating an application on the desktop. One is you're going to have to create a different app for every different platform. So if you want to create something for an Apple iPhone or iPad, you're going to have to get into Objective-C. You're going to have to set up that development environment. You're going to have to write a program there. When you do it for Android, you'll have to do it again. If you want to support other devices like BlackBerry and Windows Mobile, you'll be doing it on those platforms as well. It would be the same thing as needing to create a Windows application and create a Mac application and a Linux application. Definite drawbacks there. It takes much more time to develop one of these kinds of applications than it does to put up a website or put together an EPUB. And also on some platforms, most particularly the Apple platforms, in order to get an application, an app onto a user's device, you actually need to get past the gatekeeper. Apple needs to approve your application, and there are many stories out there of companies that have invested a lot of time and money in producing apps, only to have it rejected at the end by Apple. We don't recommend this route in general for putting out help. Now, the two formats that we're talking about, the EPUB/Kindle and web, are both based on the same underlying technology. It's all in general based on the concepts of HTML and CSS. And this gives you a nice advantage because you're able to really reuse a lot of the same underlying content in order to produce your output. When it comes to the mobile platforms that we target, in general, the main focus is on iOS. iOS is the operating system that powers the iPad, the iPhone, and the iPad, iPhone, and iPod Touch, and Android, which is powering a plethora of devices, both tablet and phone. There are other mobile platforms out there right now. Windows Mobile and BlackBerry are both out there. We tend to support them automatically just by using standards-based approaches. But the fact is that those devices are receiving less and less attention from mobile developers in general, and their numbers are dwindling. Another interesting feature of the mobile realm versus the desktop realm is people tend to replace their mobile devices much more quickly. And therefore, in the desktop world, we're used to seeing, Internet Explorer 6 and 7. 6 was released about 10 years ago, and we're still supporting it today. There's nothing like that in the mobile realm. No one's supporting a device from 10 years ago. Probably the oldest device that gets serious support would be 2 or 3 years old. So we definitely we can be much more agile about which standards we target. Okay, now let's focus on why do we actually really need to have separate mobile output? What is it that makes mobile different? The main issue is the screen size. What we really care about, though, is the screen width, not the screen height. Users have come to expect, users have been trained to expect, that they're going to have to do vertical scrolling. That's just the way of using any device. So users are never surprised when content flows off the screen. What does surprise them is when it scrolls off the screen horizontally. One thing to keep in mind at this point is that with most devices, you're able to turn them so that it's either in landscape or portrait view. So when I say width, I'm talking about the width of the device, whichever direction you happen to be holding it. But in either case, the majority of devices will have a much smaller width available to them than your average desktop or laptop system. So our goal is to make sure that content stays within the bounds of the screen. One of the things that we have to worry about is image size. That images have a width automatically associated with them. We want to make sure that we're not making images that are too wide to fit on the screen. A side point, a connected side point, is the file size of these images. A lot of the time on a mobile device, you'll have a slower internet connection. 3G and 4G are pretty fast. It's not completely uncommon to see people still on 2G. Even with users having 3G and 4G connections, a lot of the mobile providers are still throttling connections, which slows things down. So you can have images in your output. It's recommended to have images in your output, but you don't necessarily want to have large images in your output. Another thing to keep in mind, there's absolutely no support for Flash on a number of mobile platforms. Apple has sworn against ever putting Flash support in. It was actually just last week that Adobe announced that they would be discontinuing support for Flash on all of their mobile platforms. So even though current Android does have Flash support, that's going to be going away in the future. So Flash is an option. If you're using Flash anywhere on your site, you're going to have to replace it with something else in order to get it to work on mobile platforms.